They built a billionaire's paradise on a foundation of hidden graves. Deep in the heart of the world's most glamorous desert metropolis, thousands of workers are trapped in a cycle of modern slavery that the authorities are desperate to keep off the brochures. They discovered a network of labor camps so brutal and hazardous that the ground beneath the skyscrapers is practically soaked in the blood of those who built them. Join us and let's discover extreme examples of urban hells. Let's go.
Number 13. Belgrade. In the heart of Serbia, a city struggling with suffocating air quality has birthed a solution straight out of a dark science fiction novel. They call them Liquid 3, and they are essentially urban life support systems. Imagine a massive glass tank about the size of a telephone booth, glowing with an eerie neon green light. Inside, 600 liters of water are teeming with microalgae, biological machines designed to suck carbon dioxide out of the smog and pump out oxygen. Scientists claim these tanks are up to 50 times more efficient than a single tree, but their presence is a terrifying admission of failure. It is like putting a gas mask on a city instead of cleaning the air. The visual of these glowing vats standing on concrete sidewalks where lush oaks should be is a grim reminder of our environmental bankruptcy. We have reached a point where nature is no longer capable of surviving our urban footprint, so we have resorted to culturing green slime in glass boxes to keep ourselves from choking. To visualize the scale, it would take a forest the size of several football fields to match the output of a few blocks of these tanks, yet they provide no shade, no habitat, and no beauty. They are merely cold, clinical reminders that the air we breathe is a toxic soup. As more cities look toward these bioreactors, the dream of a green park is being replaced by the reality of a laboratory street. It is a desperate, dystopian band-aid on a wound that is already infected. This is not progress. It is survival in a world where the very sky has become our enemy.
Number 12. Los Angeles. The Interstate 405 in Los Angeles is not just a road, it is a sprawling, multi-lane monument to human frustration and biological decay. This asphalt dragon stretches for over 70 miles, acting as the primary artery for one of the most car-dependent regions on the planet. Every single day, nearly 400,000 vehicles crawl along its surface, creating a localized atmosphere of pure poison. Living near this highway is like standing behind a running bus and breathing deeply for 24 hours a day. The concentration of fine particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide is so extreme that residents in nearby apartment complexes face significantly higher risks of heart attacks, strokes, and permanent lung damage. To put it simply, living here is like smoking a pack of cigarettes every day without ever touching a lighter. The most disturbing part is the socioeconomic trap. While the wealthy elite in Los Angeles fight against any new construction in their clean, breezy neighborhoods, the city continues to approve high-density housing right on the edge of the 405. It is a calculated sacrifice of the working class. You can look out your window and see a 12-lane river of steel, knowing that every breath you take is shortening your life. It is a slow-motion disaster where the convenience of the commute is prioritized over the basic biological necessity of clean air. Even as they plan to expand the highway further, adding more lanes only invites motor cars, creating an endless cycle of congestion and toxicity. This is a sun-drenched nightmare where the American dream of homeownership comes with a side of chronic illness.
Only 1% of people know the dark truth behind what we are about to show you next. If you want to be part of the few who actually know what's happening in the world, subscribe and leave a like right now. Done? Look at this.
Number 11. Charleroi. Once the industrial heart of Belgium, the city of Charleroi has transformed into a rusting graveyard that holds the title of the ugliest city in Europe. This place is the physical manifestation of an economic heart attack.
Imagine a landscape where the horizon is dominated not by trees or hills, but by the jagged, decaying skeletons of coal mines and steel mills. The air carries the faint scent of wet rust and stagnant water. Large sections of the urban center are essentially ghost zones, where the glorious past of the Industrial Revolution has been replaced by crumbling brick and shattered glass. The unemployment rate here is a staggering 20%, which is like 1 in every 5 adults suddenly losing their purpose in life. In a bizarre twist of fate, the city has embraced its own misery to stay afloat. They now offer urban safari tours, where people pay to walk through the most dilapidated streets and explore abandoned power stations. It is a form of voyeuristic poverty tourism. One of the most famous sights is a cooling tower that looks like a concrete cathedral of the apocalypse, its interior mossy and silent. To understand the scale, imagine a city the size of a giant playground that has been left out in the rain for 50 years until everything turned brown and sharp. The social fabric is as frayed as the buildings, with entire metro lines sitting finished but unused, leading to nowhere. Charleroi is a warning of what happens when a city's only reason for existing vanishes overnight, leaving behind a population trapped in a metallic, monochromatic cage of the past.
Number 10. Cat Ba Island. On the surface, Cat Ba Island in Vietnam looks like a tropical paradise, a cluster of emerald peaks rising from the turquoise sea. But look closer, and you will see a $3 billion scar being carved into its soul. This is a biosphere reserve, home to some of the rarest creatures on Earth, including the golden-headed langur. There are only about 70 of these monkeys left in existence, and they are currently watching their home turn into a massive construction site. Developers are dumping millions of tons of sand and concrete into the ocean to create artificial land for luxury resorts and golf courses. It is like taking a masterpiece painting and using it as a floor mat. The noise from the heavy machinery and the constant flow of tourist boats has created an acoustic hell for the wildlife, forcing the remaining langurs into deep, dark caves where they cannot find food. The scale of the destruction is massive. Imagine taking a pristine national park and paving over it to build a giant shopping mall that no one asked for. The water, once crystal clear, is now clouded with silt and waste from the development. The irony is staggering. People come to Cat Ba to see nature, but the very infrastructure built to house them is destroying the thing they came to see. It is a cannibalistic form of tourism that eats its own attraction. Within a few years, the quiet whispers of the jungle will be replaced by the artificial hum of air conditioners and the clinking of golf clubs. The island is being lobotomized, its wild heart removed to make room for a generic, expensive playground for the global elite.
Number 9. Hangzhou. Hidden on the outskirts of Hangzhou, China, lies a mechanical cemetery that looks like a scene from a post-apocalyptic horror film. Thousands upon thousands of electric cars are parked bumper to bumper in massive weed-choked fields. These are not old, broken-down junkers. Many are nearly new, with their plastic seat covers still intact. This is the car graveyard, a silent witness to the collision of corporate greed and failed innovation. The story behind it involves a company called Panda Auto, which tried to launch a massive fleet of self-driving taxis. But the technology was flawed, the company went bankrupt, and instead of recycling the vehicles, they simply dumped them in the dirt. Imagine a giant Lego set with thousands of pieces that someone just threw into the backyard and forgot about. The environmental impact is a ticking time bomb. These cars are filled with lithium-ion batteries that are slowly leaking chemicals into the soil. To visualize the scale, this graveyard holds enough vehicles to fill a highway stretching for dozens of miles, all rotting in silence. It is a monument to the produce-at-all-costs mentality that defines much of modern urban growth. The manufacturer simply moved on to the next project, leaving this mechanical wasteland as a problem for the next generation. Nature is already fighting back, with vines crawling over the hoods and grass growing through the floorboards. It is a chilling reminder that in our rush toward a green future, we are often just creating new, more complex forms of trash. This is where the dreams of tech moguls go to die.
a sprawling metallic reminder of human hubris and the wastefulness of modern capitalism.
Number 8. Naples. In the city of Naples, Italy, there is a residential building that defies every rule of urban sanity. It sits directly beneath the Tangenziale di Napoli, a massive 3-lane highway that carries nearly 300,000 cars a day. This is not a building that is near a road. It is a building that is literally being crushed by one. The highway was built in the 1970s, long after these historic homes were established, and the engineers simply decided to run the concrete pillars right through the neighborhood. Residents live in a world of perpetual twilight and bone-shaking vibration. Every time a heavy truck passes overhead, the walls of their living rooms tremble. The noise is a constant, rhythmic thrumming that never stops, like living inside the engine of a massive ship. To understand the scale, imagine trying to sleep while someone is driving a lawnmower across your ceiling at 60 miles per hour every hour of the day. The air is thick with the smell of burnt rubber and exhaust, trapped in the narrow gap between the ground and the asphalt belly of the road. There is no sunlight here, only the gray shadows cast by the massive concrete beams. It is a localized urban hell where the basic human right to peace and quiet was sacrificed for the convenience of commuters. These families have had their homes turned into the support structure for a giant machine. It is a stunning example of aggressive urban planning that treats human beings as obstacles rather than residents. This is a place where you don't look at the sky to see the weather. You look up and see the oily undercarriages of thousands of speeding cars.
Number 7. Dhaka. In the capital of Bangladesh, the Buriganga River was once the lifeblood of the city. Today, it has been transformed into a flowing landfill, a thick black sludge that barely resembles water. This is a river of trash. Dhaka is one of the fastest-growing cities in the world, and its waste management systems have completely collapsed under the pressure. Every day, thousands of tons of plastic, chemical waste, and raw sewage are dumped directly into the canals. The result is an urban landscape where the water is so thick with debris that you could almost walk across it. To visualize the scale, imagine a swimming pool filled with millions of plastic bottles, old shoes, and industrial chemicals. Then multiply that by the size of a major city river. The smell is an overpowering wall of rot and sulfur that can be detected from miles away. This isn't just an eyesore, it is a biological hazard that affects millions of people. The residents living along the banks have no choice but to use this toxic soup for washing and, in desperate cases, drinking. It is like living on the edge of a giant open-air sewer that never ends. The wildlife that once thrived here is long dead, replaced by a carpet of multicolored plastic waste that shifts with the tide. This is the ultimate example of an urban hell, where the natural world has been completely suffocated by human consumption. Dhaka is a city drowning in its own shadow, a place where the basic elements of life, water and soil, have been turned into poison. It is a relentless, visceral reminder of the cost of unregulated urban explosion and the global plastic crisis.
Number 6. Kangbashi. Deep in the Ordos Desert of Inner Mongolia lies a city built for 1 million people that almost no one lives in. Kangbashi is the crown jewel of China's ghost cities. It is a surreal landscape of gleaming skyscrapers, massive public squares, and world-class museums, all connected by perfectly paved 12-lane boulevards that are eerily empty. In the early 2000s, a coal boom brought massive wealth to the region, and officials decided to build a futuristic metropolis from scratch. They spent over $160 billion, but they forgot one thing: people. Today, roughly 80 to 90% of the buildings sit vacant. It is like a giant movie set where the actors never showed up. To understand the scale, imagine taking the entire population of a medium-sized European country and trying to fit them into a city where the only residents are a few stubborn government workers and street sweepers cleaning empty roads. The buildings were constructed so quickly that they are already starting to crumble, with tiles falling off walls and windows cracking in the desert heat.
It is a post-apocalyptic scene that hasn't even had an apocalypse yet. Walking through Kombashi feels like being the last person on Earth. The wind whistles through the gaps in the high-rises, and the silence is deafening. It is a monument to the madness of speculative real estate, where wealth is measured in square footage rather than human activity. This is an urban hell not of overcrowding, but of profound artificial loneliness. It is a graveyard of ambition, a place where the future was built and then immediately abandoned to the dust.
Number 5. Mirny. In the remote Siberian wilderness of Russia, there is a hole in the earth so large that it creates its own weather patterns. This is the Mir diamond mine, and the town of Mirny sits precariously on its jagged edge. 40,000 people live here, huddled in a frozen landscape where temperatures regularly drop to -50 degrees. The mine itself is a terrifying abyss, over 500 meters deep and more than a kilometer wide. It looks like a giant drain that could swallow the entire town at any moment. Helicopters are banned from flying over the hole because the downward air currents can actually suck them in. To visualize the scale, you could fit a skyscraper taller than the Eiffel Tower inside this pit, and it wouldn't even reach the top. Life in Mirny is defined by the extraction of shiny rocks from this frozen hellscape. The town exists only to serve the mine, and the residents are effectively trapped by the geography and the economy. If you aren't working in the depths of the pit, you are likely struggling to survive the brutal Arctic winter. In 2017, a massive flood trapped over 100 miners underground, and 8 of them never returned to the surface. Despite the danger, the mine was reopened because of the billions of dollars in diamonds still buried in the slush. It is a town built on the brink of a man-made volcano, a place where the earth has been hollowed out to satisfy human greed. Mirny is a monochromatic nightmare of gray concrete and white snow, dominated by a dark, gaping mouth that serves as a constant reminder of how small and expendable human lives are in the face of industrial demand.
Number 4. China G110. Imagine being stuck in a traffic jam that doesn't last for hours, but for nearly 2 weeks. In August 2010, the China National Highway 110 became the site of the most legendary urban nightmare in history. A combination of massive coal trucks and road construction created a gridlock that stretched for 60 miles. Thousands of drivers were trapped in their vehicles for 12 straight days. It was a city of steel and glass that moved less than half a mile a day. To understand the scale, imagine being confined to your car for the same amount of time it takes to go on a long vacation, but you never leave the highway. The social order quickly broke down. Locals from nearby villages began selling water and instant noodles at 10 times the normal price, and if drivers refused to pay, they were threatened with violence. Criminal gangs roamed the lines of cars at night, siphoning fuel and robbing drivers as they slept. It was a localized collapse of civilization. The heat was unbearable, and the air was thick with the concentrated exhaust of thousands of idling engines. Drivers had to form small communities just to survive, sharing food and guarding each other's property. This event exposed the terrifying fragility of China's rapid urbanization. The infrastructure simply couldn't handle the sheer volume of a society that had transitioned to cars almost overnight. It is a chilling reminder that our modern mobility is an illusion. We are all just one bad day away from being trapped in a 12-day prison of our own making, sitting on a 12-lane highway that leads absolutely nowhere, while the world passes us by.
Number 3. Bengaluru. In the heart of Bengaluru, India, there is a building that serves as a middle finger to the millions of people living in poverty below. It is a massive white mansion modeled after the White House, but it isn't on the ground. It is perched on top of a 400-foot tall skyscraper. This is the Kingfisher Towers, a $20 million monument to ego built by a billionaire who fled the country before it was finished. While the mansion sits empty and decaying in the clouds, the city below is a chaotic sprawl where 16% of the population lives in slums without basic sanitation or clean water. To visualize the scale, imagine a royal palace sitting on a pedestal made of the suffering of 100,000 people. The mansion features an infinity pool, a helipad, and vast gardens, all suspended in the smoggy air of one of India's most congested cities. It is a literal ivory tower. The contrast is nauseating. A single man's unfinished dream of luxury looming over families who struggle to find a single liter of clean water. The building is now a legal nightmare, tied up in fraud and debt cases, leaving it as a hollow, ghostly shell. It serves as a permanent reminder of the staggering wealth inequality that defines many modern urban centers. It is a dystopian vision of the future where the ultra-rich don't just live in better neighborhoods, they physically remove themselves from the earth to avoid looking at the reality of the world they helped create. This mansion in the sky is the ultimate symbol of a broken urban society, a luxury tomb overlooking a sea of desperation, symbolizing a divide that can never be bridged.
Number 2. Dubai. Dubai is marketed as a shimmering oasis of the future, but behind the Burj Khalifa and the luxury malls lies a dark, industrial secret. Much of the city was built using what human rights organizations call wage slavery. Thousands of migrant workers are recruited from South Asia with promises of high pay, only to have their passports seized the moment they arrive. They are transported in crowded buses to labor camps on the outskirts of the city, far from the eyes of tourists. These camps are cramped, filthy, and lack basic air conditioning, even when temperatures outside soar to a lethal 50 degrees Celsius. To understand the scale, imagine being forced to work 14 hours a day in a furnace, then coming home to a room you share with 12 other people, with no way to escape and no money to buy a plane ticket home. Thousands of these workers die every year from heat stroke, exhaustion, and preventable accidents. The City of Gold is literally built on the broken backs of an invisible underclass. It is an urban hell hidden in plain sight. While influencers take photos of their gold-plated steaks, men are dying of thirst just a few miles away. The inequality is baked into the very concrete of the buildings. Dubai is not a city of the future. It is a throwback to the era of feudalism, wrapped in a shiny, high-tech package. It is a place where the value of a human life is lower than the cost of the marble in a hotel lobby. This is a manufactured paradise that functions only through the systematic exploitation and suffering of those who will never be allowed to enjoy it. It is a glittering facade covering a soul of pure, unadulterated cruelty.
Hong Kong. Hong Kong is the most vertical city on Earth, and for thousands of its poorest residents, it has become a living tomb. This is the world of coffin homes. In buildings like the infamous Monster Building, apartments are subdivided into tiny wooden boxes that are only 60 centimeters wide and less than 2 meters long. You cannot stand up. You can barely turn over. This is your entire world. Imagine living in a space smaller than a walk-in closet, sharing a single rusted bathroom with 20 other strangers. The walls are stained with years of grime, and the air is a stagnant mix of cooking fumes and body odor. To visualize the scale, imagine living inside a literal coffin, but you are still alive, and you have to pay $300 a month for the privilege. In November 2025, the Wang Fu Court fire proved how lethal these conditions are. The building was a maze of illegal subdivisions and flammable materials. When the fire started, the residents were trapped in their cages. The bamboo scaffolding outside turned into a giant torch, and the foam-sealed windows ensured no one could escape. 55 people were incinerated in minutes. It is an urban hell of absolute density, where human beings are treated like cargo in a warehouse. This isn't just poverty, it is the total erasure of human dignity. People live, eat, and sleep in cages, surrounded by the constant hum of millions of others in the same situation. It is the ultimate climax of the urban nightmare, a city so expensive and so crowded that the only place left for the poor is a tiny wooden box where they wait to either go to work or die.
If you thought this was terrifying, you are not ready for what they found in the video on your screen. Click it right now. The truth is worse than you think.